Good morning, everybody, from the Monza circuit in Italy. Welcome to the International GTOpen, the 15th edition of the International GTOpen. And we are officially into the second half of the season and the second half of the weekend. We had a qualifying and a race yesterday, another qualifying today to set the grid for race number 2, a 60-minute race coming up for you this afternoon. Cars are just making their way out onto the circuit. The clock has started ticking, 30 minutes on it, and there, first out is your race winner from yesterday. What an historic day it was for the championship yesterday. The first ever time we have had a Bentley on the top step of the podium, and winning it, Yannick Mettler and Fabrizio Crestani. Was a brilliant day. The latter is going to be the one that goes out for qualifying today. They didn't just win, but I've got to say they did it very convincingly. They won by 34 seconds in the end. Was an absolutely fantastic performance, and that was no fluke either. They led from pole position, they got straight into the lead, and after that they weren't never seen again. So it wasn't a case of handicaps winning the race for them. Absolutely not. They just charged off and won the race and put the Bentley on the top step of the podium for the first time. For Team Lazarus, it was a win on home soil. Likewise for Fabrizio Crestani. He won here last year, so 2 wins on the bounce for him as well. And this, the track where it all started back in 2006, this championship. On that day, it was a Dodge Viper that won, and a new car on the top step for us this weekend. The best result for Lazarus coming into this weekend was 4th. So for them to then go out and take a win was brilliant. Their other car, though, sadly didn't finish once again. So hopefully better fortunes for them today. There is the young Aldo Vestante, who took quite an emotional victory yesterday as well. The young Italian winning on home soil. It's, I'm sure, what every Italian racing driver at a young age dreams about. And Aldo Vestante did that and now leads the championship in the GT Cup Open. So let's run you through the result yesterday. A reminder for those of you who watched it, because there was a lot going on in that race, wasn't there? The final 20 minutes in particular were absolutely fantastic. Needed a lie down, I think, at the end of it, actually. And I'm not just saying that. Yes, let's remind you what happened. For those of you watching, there was a lot going on, so it's probably hard to remember actually who finished where. And for those of you who missed it, this is what happened. So Fabrizio Crestani and Yannick Mettler won the race, 34 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Sally Ulick and Charlie Eastwood. Sally started the race, got involved in some dramas at the first corner. Wouldn't say it was his fault either, a bit of a racing incident really. Sally Ulick sadly then dropping down the field because of that. But once he come in and handed the car to Charlie Eastwood, well, Charlie Eastwood just got on a charge, and there was one lap in particular where he made 3 places in 3 corners and charged his way through the field, in the end going on to take second at the line. Well, Nick Moss and Joe Osborne, who finished in 3rd, were carrying a 1-second penalty, but it was a drag race to the line. Charlie Eastwood came down to the Parabolica, which is here, went to the outside, went all the way around the outside, and then it was a drag race to the line. He was 13 thousandths behind at the line, but Nick Moss and Joe Osborne, carrying a 1-second penalty, would drop to 3rd place. However, an overall podium for them, a brilliant result, and they won the Pro-Am class. Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez, our championship leaders, finished in 4th place. Marcelo Hahn and Alan Coder were 2nd in class and 5th overall. Bob Barrich on his debut in the championship, the 3rd Teo Martin Motorsport car. He's alongside Christian Hahn. They finished 6th overall. They could be ones to watch today after the pace they showed yesterday. Louis Pret and Vincent Abril, really disappointing day for them actually. The Ferrari on home soil, the AF Corsa team would have been quite disappointed with that. They struggled to get by. It was Brendan Irib and Ollie Milroy. Stuck behind Brendan Irib was Vincent Abril, and in that just dropped places, and in the end just didn't really seem to have the pace towards the end. The American struggling just a little bit, so 8th place for them today. Yesterday, however, it was a class podium, so they will be happy with that. Winning the AM class in 9th overall was Alexei Nezov and Alexander Moiseev. Then we had Patrick Koprinsky and Christian Klein in 10th. Stefan Ortelli and Angelo Negro struggled a bit. They were 11th. Florian Schultz and Jens Liebhauser, your AM Championship leaders, were 12th. Daniele Diamato and Alessandro Vezzoni for RS Racing. They picked up a penalty before the race started. They finished down in 13th place on the team's return to the championship since 2018. Then our GT Cup Open drivers, Aldo Vestante won by 14 seconds ahead of Daniel Diaz-Varela and Manuel Cerqueira. And then we had Antonio Combra and Luis Silva. And after one lap, retiring from the race was Stefano Coletti and Nico Veroni. Contact at the start of the race saw Stefano Coletti forced to retire. So Stefano Coletti yet to make it to the flag once again. However, it's going to be Verone who's out today. And I hope the car's able to get out because currently they are in pit lane. So I hope everything is okay down there. This wouldn't be the first time that they'd had to retire from a race and then don't race the next day, because that's what happened to them at the Hungaroring. Exactly the same thing. They had to retire and then the next day they couldn't go out. Nicolas Verone, who comes across from the BRDC British F3 Championship, young Argentinian, will partner Stefano Coletti for the first time. Championship-wise, Enrique Chavez and Miguel Ramos still lead by 73 points now. However, they are only 4 points ahead of Sally Ulick and Charlie Eastwood, so that could be a real interesting fight today, I have to say. Enrique Chavez is going to be in the car for the Teo Martin Motorsport team, and Charlie Eastwood in the car for the TF Sport team. Louis Pret and Vincent Averill have 62 points, so that is your fight for the overall lead in Pro. In terms of Pro-Am, leading the championship now is Marcelo Hahn. He has 43 points. Christian Klein and Patrick Kaprinski on 39, but Christian in the car today, and we know how quick he is. Nick Moss is then on 32 points. He closed the gap with Joe Osborne partnering him. They've closed the gap to the top two, so definitely watch out for those guys today. Brendan Irie, Benoli, Milroy on 27 points, and then in AM we have Florian Schultz and Jens Liebhauser still leading, but the gap closed down to just 3 points with Alexei Nezov and Alexander Moiseev trying to close in. So positions will be to the left-hand side of your screen. The red highlighted numbers are the Pro drivers. The numbers with the blue backgrounds are your Pro-Am drivers. Green backgrounds, your Am drivers. And then the yellow-orange type backgrounds, they are the GT Cup Open Europe drivers. So the Pro-Am teams are made up of one Pro and one Am driver. Of course, the Pro drivers that went out yesterday for qualifying will now hand over to the AM drivers and vice versa. How it works, International GT Open, if you're new to us. First of all, if you are new, welcome along. Hope you're enjoying the coverage so far. We have 2 qualifying sessions over the weekend, and the teammates will take it in turn. So one driver will go out for qualifying on Saturday, and then they'll have to hand over to the other on Sunday. Likewise, in the races, there will be mandatory pit stops where the driver swaps will take place. If you're up the championship order and having good results, you will be awarded a handicap. So the likes of Yannick Mettler and Fabrizio Crestani, they're going to have a handicap now handed to them for this race. So it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for them to go on and take the race win. But always brilliant racing. Sometimes that's where we have the start of the race, which is always good. But then once the pit stops happen, those last 20 minutes, if you watch anything from yesterday, if you can spare 20 minutes, go to yesterday's race and watch it, because it's something I will be rewatching many a time, I can tell you, because it was absolutely fantastic racing all the way to the flag. And if you're new to International GT Open, while you've got the time between now and the second race later, go and watch that. I can tell you, you will definitely be with us for that second race. It's going to be a brilliant one. 60-minute race today, 70 minutes is the length of the race yesterday, but same amount of points awarded to both. So we're 10 minutes into the session. Drivers up to between 3 to 5 laps so far. 5 laps set by the driver you can see on screen, Christian Hahn, doing a great job. He's partnering Bar Barach, the Israeli driver, who did a good job yesterday in his first ever race. Christian Hahn, the more experienced in the team, so no surprise to see him up the order. Stefan Ortelli. Great to see Stefan Ortelli, a fan favourite, I'm sure. He's all the way up there in third place. Christian Klein, we know Christian from his Formula One experience. He's sitting in second. They've had an overall race win so far this season, have that team, and that was in the very first race of the season. So do watch out for them. They're currently in second. Louis Pret is in fourth. Schultz is in fifth. Daniele Diamato is sixth. Fabrizio Crestani seventh. Then it's Nick Moss, Brendan Igrib, and Alan Coder. We are watching Enrique Chavez, currently purple through the first two sectors. These are your championship leaders. The gap has closed to them, as we said, with Sally Ulick and Charlie Eastwood in chase. But at the moment, Enrique Chavez on track to take pole position. Round the final corner, he comes, purple through the first two sectors. Here we go, up to the line. Can Enrique Chavez knock his teammate off the top? We'll find out any second now. There we go, 1:45.691. Not a bad time that at all. And Enrique Chavez provisionally goes to the top. Now, yesterday, the best time in qualifying was a 1:46.280. So we've already beaten that, essentially. So that is to give you a bit of a respect as to how good that time is. Yes, that is definitely good enough to take pole position, basically. Here comes Christian Klein, the JP Motorsport driver, down towards the final corner. These are your leaders in the Pro-Am class in terms of the championship. Not in qualifying, though. Alan Coder leading the Pro-Am class in second. But is that about to change? Up to the line. Christian Klein trying to go to the top in that Mercedes. Here he goes to the line. Can Christian do it? Let's find out as he crosses the line. Don't believe he has. So he will remain fifth for the time being. We've got Christian Hahn in the pits. Florian Schultz likewise. Charlie Eastwood has also been in pits. He hasn't really set a proper time, as Enrique Chavez once again on track to improve. Here he comes through the Ascari chicane, now making his way down towards the final corner. I believe that's the RS racing car that has just gone through shot a little bit ahead of us. Daniele Diamato in that car. Enrique Chavez now making his way around the final corner. Looks good so far, doesn't it? Out of the final corner he comes. Enrique Chavez powering his way up to the start-finish line, trying to get 2 wins in as many years for Teo Martin Motorsport at this track, and a 1:45.470. Great time that from Enrique Chavez. However, we are yet to see some of the heavy hitters go out there and set proper times. This is yesterday's winner, Crestani, currently in 7th place. That is the other Teo Martin Motorsport with Alan Coder in that crosses the line now. Christian Hahn, the third of them in the pit lane. So they are currently 1, 2 and 3 in this session. That's the 16 with Alan Coder in. Alan Coder currently 6th in the Pro-Am Championship, but this is his 2nd round of the season. So we're at the halfway stage, and often this is when we will see most of the teams come into pit lane. They won't be doing driver swaps. They will just be coming into the pits for going back out, getting some work done on the cars. Just under a second separate your top 2 so far. Just see Daniel Diaz Varela across the line. This is Antonio Combra. So these are your GT Cup Open Europe drivers, and Antonio Combra just flashing the headlights there to the driver coming out of pit lane. And gets by with no problems. Antonio Combra so far leading class, which is good because they finished 3rd yesterday, did Antonio Combra and Luis Silva. So this would be a brilliant result for them if they could go on and take pole position in class. What about Stefan Ortelli? What can he do? Well, 4th on track so far, but personal best as he makes his way up towards the Ascari chicane. However, he's lost a lot of time, and you can see he is backing off through the Ascari chicane. So clearly he was delayed through the Lesmos by perhaps that Ferrari behind, and Stefan Ortelli now just saving those tyres and gearing himself up for another lap. This is the view down to the Parabolica. Stefan Ortelli in the car, hits the brakes, into the Parabolica we go. Now, he's either coming into the pits or he's gearing himself up for another lap, and I think it's the first of those as he takes a tight line and into the pits he comes. So Stefan Ortelli coming in. Clearly, the team said, one more lap. If you're improving, stay out. If not, come in. And Stefan Ortelli does the latter. Quickest on track in terms of speed is Louis Pret, 279 kilometers an hour, just to give you an idea of how quick these things go around here. Coming into vision now, we can see Charlie Eastwood. I've said it quite a few times, but it doesn't really get old. 24-hour Le Mans winners this year, just a week ago. Charlie Eastwood now hasn't really done a flyer yet. He's only done 4 laps. So this is going to be his first real flyer. He's gone personal best through sectors 1 and 2. Let's see what pace is in that car today. The pace yesterday was very quick. Charlie Eastwood particularly incredibly quick when he was on track. Let's see what he can do as he comes up to the line. He goes to 7th. Good improvement that from Charlie Eastwood. When Sally was in the car yesterday, gradually improved throughout the session. Every lap it got better and better. Let's see if that's if we see similar things from Charlie Eastwood today. All I'll say is there's probably more pace in that car because that is exactly what we saw with Sally yesterday, as we see Teo Martin Motorsport. They've got Enrique Chavez and Christian Hahn in the pits. This is Antonio Combra coming through Lesmo 1. Now up towards Lesmo 2. Aldo Vestante has gone quickest in GT Cup Open Europe, by the way. And this is the driver that's trying to chase him down. Antonio Combra just 1/100th of a second back from him. Very close in that class. As behind, this is the driver who currently sits in provisional pole position. This is Aldo Vestante making his way down towards Ascari. Good time so far from Aldo, but he's being challenged heavily. Yesterday it was a fight between Vestante and Manuel Cerqueda. Cerqueda has handed the car to Daniel Diaz Varela today, and it was Cerqueda who took the top step in the end. In terms of qualifying, that is. Vestante starting alongside as they now come down towards the final corner. Can Aldo Vestante take pole position today? So far, he is in provisional pole position, but he is being challenged heavily as they go up towards the start-finish line. Aldo Vestante on track to improve here. He's done personal best first and second sector, and he does improve as he crosses the line. 153.342 and extends his gap over Antonio Combra by almost 1 second. So as we approach the final 10 minutes, and we've got just a little bit of a breather. I'll just run you through who's out on track in this qualifying session. So Enrique Chavez is out there for Teo Martin Motorsport. In the number 16 Teo Martin car is Alan Coder. Christian Hahn in the number 57. Stefan Ortelli is out there in the number 48 AF Corsa car. In the number 17 AF Corsa car is Louis Pret. Christian Klein in the JP Motorsport Mercedes. Charlie Eastwood for TF Sport. Florian Schultz is in the number 44 JP Motorsport car. Daniele Di Amato out there in the number 25 RS Racing. For Optima Motorsport, it is Nick Moss and Brendan Irib in number 72 and 7 respectively. Lazarus in the 26 is Crestani. Nezov is the driver you are looking at. That is the Alexei Nezov car, the number 13 AKM Motorsport car, making its way into Lesmo 2. Winners in the AM class yesterday. And then your GT Cup Open Europe drivers, Aldo Vestante, Antonio Combra, Daniel Diaz Varela. We have not seen Nicholas Verone, and I fear that we won't throughout the rest of the session, maybe even the day. Into Ascari, it's Alexei Nezov and Alexander Moseev. Roles reversed for them today because it was these guys that were away and clear in qualifying. But today it is Florian Schultz, the other driver in the number 44 JP car. The blue and white Audi there, that is Daniel Diaz Varela ahead of us, but we look back at the green and white Mercedes coming around the final corner. Oh, you've got to be careful of the track limits. You will be penalised for that, and very harshly as well, because if you run track limits at Parabolica, not only does your current lap time get deleted, but your next one does as well. So you lose 2 laps, so you've got to be really careful going through that corner. Now we've got drivers making their way back out onto the pits. Christian Hahn and Louis Pret, some of them. Most of the field now making its way back out. This is one of the drivers that isn't. This is the number 16 of Aldo Vestante. Still in the car, so they are planning to come back out again. Just not anytime soon, so we will expect to see them out there shortly, though. These are the 2 Optimum Motorsport cars, 1 and 2 in class yesterday, and the driver ahead, Nick Moss, drove particularly well yesterday, I have to say. Put on a really good fight. Was up in 2nd place, then caught by the likes of Charlie Eastwood, but did a brilliant job to fight back and keep the guys honest. He was caught by the likes of Charlie Eastwood and championship leaders as well, Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez and Aldo Vestante, but took the fight to all of them all the way to the flag. It was side by side with Charlie Eastwood all the way to the line. So credit where credit's due there. Nick Moss, the AM driver in that team, really good job. This is Brendan Irib, who had his hands full for several laps with all of the pro field, basically. And Brendan Irib particularly made it incredibly difficult for the likes of Louis Pret to get through. So did a really good job there. Now, runners yesterday currently out of the top 10. They're going to be disappointed with that. They're now being delayed by Daniel Diaz. Oh, that's very close. Being delayed by Daniel Diaz Varela up to the line. That's going to affect their lap, but they go 3rd. Right, that's their first real flyer, I'd have to say. 3rd place for Fabrizio Crestani. A good time, but how much quicker could it have been without that? So it wasn't a block, but we're catching Daniel Diaz Varela at the last corner was not ideal at all. But they're starting to wind it up now. Let's see if they can go even quicker on this lap. On board with the Bentley as we make our way round Curva Grande and down towards the 2nd chicane. Hits the brakes, down the gears. We're going to take some curve through the left, keep it over. Now a little bit of curve through the right. Use the runoff, now up towards Lesmo 1. See a big lock up here. Danger of a flat spot there. And car getting all out of shape. But got it together just in time. And Fabrizio Crestani has gone purple through the 1st sector. This is Louis Pret being tailed by Alexei Nezov as they make their way now round the Ascari chicane. Louis Pret has done a personal best 1st sector, but slower in the 2nd sector. In the background, though, the Bentley there, purple in the 1st sector, personal best in the 2nd sector, potentially on to take pole position as we go down towards the final corner. Here we pick up Fabrizio Crestani now. Hits the brakes for the final corner. Can Fabrizio Crestani knock Enrique Chavez off provisional pole position round the final corner? Fabrizio Crestani up to the line. And is he going to come into the pits? No, just taking a tight line. Fabrizio Crestani, can he do it? Goes to 2nd, so puts them on the front row. 1:45.956 for Fabrizio Crestani. A good time, but may feel he could have gone just a little bit quicker. Seems he has his hands full with that car, doesn't he? So just under half a second away from Enrique Chavez. But who else is improving? Florian Schultz is improving on this lap, as is Daniele Diamato as well. So drivers lower just outside the top 10. Alexei Nezov in a good position because he's trailing Louis Pret. Louis Pret not going quicker so far, so not on track to improve from that 6th place. Someone's had a slight off there. You can see some of the gravel that's been dragged back onto the circuit from the 2nd chicane as the Bentley comes through Lesmo 2. Now makes its way. Oh, and someone a slight off there as well, just ahead of us. Down to Ascari we go. On this lap, Crestani 3/10 slower currently through the 1st sector. Let's see what he does through the 2nd. And yes, a lot slower. So Crestani will bail out of this lap now and will set himself up for another. If he comes into the pits, then he won't have time to go out and do another. clearly Enrique Chavez feels confident that he has done enough to take pole, because he is staying in the pits. Now, Charlie Eastwood has just done a lap of 3 minutes, so he's gearing himself up now for a flyer, I imagine. Christian Klein has gone personal best through the first and the second sector, and particularly quick in the second sector. This is Stefan Ortelli warming up the tyres, getting ready for a flyer. We'll have 2 to 3 more laps and that's it, and gets his foot down now, so he's given himself a bit of space, and here goes Stefan Ortelli to see if he can improve on that 6th place overall and 2nd in class. Taking a wide line into Parabolica so he can straighten the car up, get his foot down, and now we go down the start-finish straight. Here we pick up one of the other, this is the Teo Martin Motorsport car, the 57 of Christian Hahn. Not going quicker on this lap. Christian Hahn, the 57 of Christian Hahn comes now through Lesmo 2 and makes his way down towards Ascari. Maybe just warming up the tyres slightly still. You can see just a bit of weaving, so Christian Hahn getting ready for a flyer as well. It's going to be a great last 3 minutes of this session. We've got lots of drivers out there just getting themselves ready. Now, Charlie Eastwood has gone personal best through the second sector. He was the car that just went under the screen there, the red Aston Martin. Charlie Eastwood, let's see what he can do. He's 1.5 seconds off pole, which is, for Charlie Eastwood, quite unusual. So definitely he is getting himself ready for a couple more laps, I'd say. As he comes up to the line, he goes to 3rd. Well, that's more like it from Charlie Eastwood. Charlie Eastwood at 146.1. Here is Alexei Nezov coming through the final corner. He needs to find some time, and indeed he's finding some. Up to the line he goes. Florian Schultz, the AM leader, is in 9th. He's currently in 13th. They're in a fight for the championship in the AM class, and he goes 9th, 147.282. So by a few hundredths of a second, he beats Florian Schultz. Florian Schultz in pit lane as well, so currently nothing he can do about it. Florian Schultz will either be rushing out the pit lane or putting his hands up and saying, well, fair play. Great lap from Alexei Nezov. For a long time there, was quite a few positions back from Florian Schultz, but got himself ready for a lap, saved it for the end, and Alexei Nezov goes up to 9th. Stefan Ortelli, we were briefly on board with him. He goes to 6th place now. Also improving on this lap is Louis Pret. He's done a personal best first sector. He's just ahead of us. He's the Ferrari ahead of this car. We see Alexei Nezov, who is now your AM leader and will take the overall lead in AM because Florian Schultz is in the pits. Right, we go to Charlie Eastwood. He's gone personal best through the second sector. Alam Koder, by the way, has set a purple first sector. When I say purple, I mean that's the quickest time we've seen through sector 1 than anyone. Here is Charlie Eastwood now making his way down towards the final corner. Has he done enough to improve? Currently, with the first and second sector, he will take 2nd as he comes up to the line. Has he done enough in the final sector though? Here he goes up to the line. He'll get one more lap after this. Charlie Eastwood, can he put it on the front row? No, stays 3rd for the time being. Only 1/10 back from Crestani. The top 2 are in the pit lane as we make our way down towards the final corner. Alam Koder currently on track to get on the front row, potentially even challenge for pole position. Around the final corner he comes. Alam Koder in the number 16 Teo Martin Motorsport car trying to get a bit of a tow from Alexei Nezov. Comes up to the line now. Where will he go? Onto the front row. Alam Koder, 2nd place, 145.886. Brilliant lap from Alam Koder, and there's nothing Crestani can do about that either. So it's a Teo Martin Motorsport front row lockout. But Charlie Eastwood is still out there. Christian Klein still out there. Louis Pret still out there as well. Louis Pret has just done a personal best lap and has one time for one more. Improving down the field, Daniele Diamato, he's trying to get himself into the top 10 and only needs to find a couple of tenths to do it. Nick Moss is on for a personal best lap as well. Plenty of drivers improving, and the flag is going to fly very shortly. Alam Koder, another good lap. Can he challenge for pole position? He's less than a 10th back through the first sector. pushing it to the absolute limit through Lesmo 1, and it will be the same, I'm sure, through Lesmo 2. Here is Charlie Eastwood, not going quicker on this lap though. But Charlie Eastwood could go past Fabrizio Crestani with the times he's doing. Round the final corner he comes. Let's see what Charlie Eastwood can do. Can he get to the inside of row 2? Up to the line he goes. Charlie Eastwood in the TF Sport car. Let's see, can he gain a position as the flag now flies? No, he doesn't. So Charlie Eastwood, it is a personal best lap, but 1,000th of a second slower than Fabrizio Crestani. That was all it was in it, 1,000th of a second. Louis Pret is going quicker on this lap, by the way. The flag is now flying. Christian Hahn has taken it, as is Daniele Diamato. Here is Alam Coder. Can he go? Oh no, he's come in. Well, Alam Coder not going quicker, so he decides to bail out of the lap and come into the pits. Louis Pret took the flag, by the way, and did not go quicker than 6th. Christian Klein still out there. He is the car in the background with the headlights on. Is he going to stay out there and take another lap? He's not going quicker, so I suspect he will now slow down, and it looks like he is. So that is the session complete then. Enrique Chavez takes pole position. The Teo Martin Motorsport car at the top. The championship leaders trying to extend that lead. They're only 4 points ahead of the TF Sport car, which will start in 4th place. So that is where your 2 championship rivals will be. And also in the fight for the championship, Louis Pret as well. They are 3rd in the championship and they are 6th. So 1st, 4th and 6th respectively are your top 3 in the championship in the pro class. Alam Coder is going to be alongside Enrique Chavez on the front row. The 2 Teo Martin Motorsport cars lock out the front row. Alam Coder leading the Pro-Am class, Enrique Chavez leading the Pro cast. Here is confirmation of the results. Enrique Chavez it is at the top with a 1:45.470, 4 tenths quicker than anyone else. Alam Coder in 2nd. Fabrizio Crestani will start on the inside of row 2, 1,000th of a second quicker than Charlie Eastwood. Christian Klein will be 2nd in Pro-Am. Definitely one to watch at the start of the race. He will be in 5th. Louis Pret, a slightly disappointing 6th. Stefan Ortelli, much better from them today. Stefan Ortelli in the car, no surprise, he is 7th. Christian Hahn 8th. Daniele Diamato on RS Racing's return will be 9th. Alexei Nezov just about beating Florian Schultz to 10th place and lead in AM class. Then the 2 Optimum cars will be on row 6 and 7, Brendan Irib and Nick Moss. Then your GT Cup Open Europe standings, Aldo Vestante taking pole position there. Antonio Cumbra, a much better performance from them today, will be 2nd. Daniel Diaz Varela in 3rd. And sadly, we do not see the 2nd of the Lazarus cars on circuit. Nicholas Verone did not come out onto track. I wonder if we will be seeing them at all today. So that is all the field in. Enrique Chavez in the number 59. Teo Martin Motorsport McLaren taking pole position on Sunday here last year. They took both wins. Let's hear from him now.
Pole position at Monza. It's always a great show fighting for pole position at Monza with all the towing. How was it?
Yeah, it was amazing. I could do a perfect lap. I don't know how I pulled it off, but fortunately I managed everything with the tires, with the pressures, with the temperatures to pull this lap off. The car was amazing. The team did an amazing job to give me this car. And yeah, Miguel, it was his birthday yesterday, so I hope this is a plus to his birthday, and let's put this into a win afternoon. Yeah, and I'm very happy with this lap. Fortunately, this track doesn't have track limits to gain time, and I managed to do my first pole, and yeah, I'm quite happy with the performance.
And of course, the objective is to keep or to extend the lead in the championship.
Yes, yesterday we lose some points to the Aston Martin, but today without handicap, we managed to start on pole, and if everything goes well, we can win this race, and yeah, of course, extend our leadership in the championship, and hopefully that's the goal to the afternoon.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All the best. Parabéns.
Thank you.
They're going to be hard to beat today, I have to say that. And you can catch all the race this afternoon. Make sure you join us from 2 o'clock. That is when the lights will go green here in Monza for race number 2. So that is when we are going to go live. Make sure you do join us then. We do hear from Aldo Vestante first before we go